Hello, everybody. We're here for the final press conference. Gennady Golovkin against Steve Rolls. Jesse Vargas with us, obviously great champ and an extraordinary companion and colleague. How do we see this fight coming back after a nine-month layoff for Gennady Golovkin?
It's very interesting. I mean, let's keep in mind that the last time Gennady Golovkin took a long break, a 9-month break actually, was in 2009. Immediately after, he had several back-to-back sensational victories. Maybe that's what he needed, for him to come back, feel rejuvenated with his new team also. I mean, not only did he get the 9-month layoff, now he has a new team who he feels refreshed with, new knowledge, something new to work on. As a fighter, we always want to work on something new. Repetition becomes boring, not just for a fighter, but for everyone, so it makes sense. I think that Gennady Golovkin is hungry, is eager to show the fans what he's been working on, and to show you a new, rejuvenated Gennady Golovkin.
And that one new member in that team is Jonathan Banks, who had oodles of experience with Vladimir Klitschko, knows that style very well, the Ukrainian, Russian, and obviously Kazakhstan. What does that mean for that team per se in Gennady?
Well, it says that they're not going to change much in Triple G style. Gennady Golovkin has that, that intelligent aggression, that comes with a lot of strength. I mean, you look at the Klitschkos and the names you just mentioned, they're fighters that work the distance and come in with hard shots. So I'm looking forward to this big fight. Gennady Golovkin versus Steve Rolls, huge matchup.
And let's get this party started. We're going to go with Tom Loeffler. Right now, he's waiting for us.
Let's put Lou, Roy. Let's put Lou in the middle. We'd like to welcome everyone today to our Fight Week press conference. Everyone's been awaiting the return of Triple G, the return of his big drama show, especially here to really what we consider his home arena, the world's most famous arena, the Mecca of boxing, returning here to Madison Square Garden. Triple G at MSG is two names that just go hand in hand. We built his career here at Madison Square Garden in New York. And I think because he's fought here so much, that really helped us elevate his profile here in the United States. He has a new broadcast partner with Dazn, and we're looking to continue his dominance in boxing with Dazn. We want to acknowledge some key partners that have been involved with Gennady's career over the last few years. Chivas, who sponsored Ducati for the last 3 years, who's been a tremendous partner internationally. Tecate, who's really taking the lead for sponsoring boxing, supporting boxing, and these type of big events wouldn't be possible without the additional support of these type of sponsors. We have the beautiful Tecate girls behind us. Every time you see Shanera or Billy Joe, you know it's a big event. So we're excited to have them here as well. What can I say? This is a great show. We have a great undercard with undefeated fighters matched up against each other. We have a local fan favorite, Jonathan Arroyo, who sold a lot of tickets. Nikita Ababi, undefeated 8-0 versus Juan Francisco Barajas, who's 5-0. You know, these fighters realize if they're going to be on a big platform like this at Madison Square Garden, they have to fight. They have to be in a tough fight to prove their mettle. Then we also have from DiBella Entertainment Charles Conwell. He's 9-0, fighting Courtney Pennington. Israel Madrimov. There's been a lot of talk about how Madrimov has been one of the standout fighters turning pro. He only has 2 fights. Both of them have been 10 rounds, so I know a lot of people are excited about seeing him now in his third fight, his third 10-round fight. And he's in with very durable Norberto Gonzalez from Mexico, so it'll be interesting to see if he keeps his knockout streak alive. 2-0 with 2 knockouts, but he's definitely one of the standout fighters on this show, and he's provided to us with courtesy from Matchroom USA. Then we have, actually, before I get into the rest of the TV fighters, I want to acknowledge someone who's been extremely important to Gennadi's career and the whole Triple G brand. When I said we built Triple G here at MSG, there's been a specific person who's been integral into that success. We want to acknowledge Joel Fisher, who's been tremendously supportive. Naturally, Jim Dolan, without his support and approval, you know, these type of big events wouldn't happen at the Garden. To say a few words on behalf of Madison Square Garden, I'd like to bring up Sal Federico, who's been, as I mentioned, an integral part of Triple G's career.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Madison Square Garden. As I hope all of you were here to witness, it's been quite a week here at the Mecca of Boxing. And what we learned on Saturday night is that every underdog has a chance. Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz was just an absolutely historic event, something that will be talked about for generations to come. And now this Saturday, we have another terrific event, and our friend Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, has to be ready because, as we learned, anything can happen at the Mecca of Boxing. Our relationship with Triple G dates back to 2012, even before he made his U.S. debut. You know, Gennady might be from Karaganda, Kazakhstan. Pronounced correctly? Thank you, Gennady, yes. And he might live in beautiful, sunny Southern California, but in many ways, we like to think that Madison Square Garden is his home away from home. One of my favorite things is when Gennady comes to visit us for Knicks or Ranger games, whether it's the Knicks and Rangers players, our executives, security guards, all of our employees treat him like family. He knows most of their names. It's really a special relationship we have with him. And we couldn't be more excited to welcome him back to the world's most famous arena for his 6th performance. The Garden has had a great relationship with Gennady, Tom, Melissa, John, Thorsten, Erica, and the entire Triple G Promotions team. And we just want to thank them for coming back to New York, and it's been great to work with you on this fight. In the other corner, Steve Rolls. Had a chance to meet with him during the media tour, and this man's ready. We've been following him on social media. We saw him at the workout this week. He's coming to fight, and we couldn't be more excited, and we know he's going to be looking for his Andy Ruiz moment on Saturday night. Special thank you to Lou, Ron, Meredith, Sean, Alex, and the entire DiBella Entertainment team. You guys are always great to work with, and love having you back here at the Garden. Tickets are on sale now. Still available and can be purchased right here at the MSG box office or online at msg.com. Get your tickets because you never know. That's what's so special about this sport. We might have an incredible historic event like we did this past weekend. Of course, we'd like to thank Joe Markovsky and the incredible team at Dazn. They've been great partners during this run, and we've got to know them pretty well this week, and we'll see them again next week for Bellator. So quite a bit of residency, as you said. Just want to wish the best of luck to all fighters, and we'd like to thank you guys and look forward to an incredible night on Saturday night. Thanks.
Thanks, Sal. Sal was one of the few people when I told him I was going to start working with Triple G back in, it was actually 2011. He knew exactly who Gennady was. He saw the vision. And again, with Sal's drive and perseverance, we turned Triple G into one of the few fighters that can actually fill the large arena. All the arenas around the world, but this feels like a special homecoming for him. As I mentioned, Triple G has a new broadcast partner. Dazn has made big waves in the sport of boxing ever since announcing last year here in the U.S. market. They've signed some of the biggest names in the sport of boxing. They featured Canelo Alvarez twice already. Canelo did his job, beating Danny Jacobs, who Triple G fought here at Madison Square Garden as well. And if Triple G is successful on June 8th, I think DAZN's intention is to make another super fight, the biggest fight on their platform, to make a third fight. But before anyone can talk about a third fight, just as Sal alluded to with what happened with Andy Ruiz, got to be 100% focused on Steve Rolls. Steve's coming to fight. He's undefeated. He's hungry. He wants to show his talents on DAZN, also internationally. This is a big stage for him, and he wants to show why he's undefeated at 19-0. So with that, I'd like to thank John Skipper, who was really the driving force behind signing Triple G to DAZN, and to say a few words for DAZN, someone who's really seen the vision that we have for Triple G to continue his dominance in the sport of boxing. I want to bring up Joe Markowski.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks to all the media who are back here at MSG. I'll be honest, I'm still catching my breath after Saturday night. It was one of the most historic nights in the history of DAZN, but more importantly in the history of boxing. And for me, obviously we walk into the second of our 3-week residency here at the Garden, thanks to Sal and Joel and the team for their hospitality. The fight this Saturday for me just takes on an all-new significance. For Gennady, obviously his debut on the DAZN platform, we're very proud and honoured to have signed a long-term deal with Gennady and his team. But for Steve, feels like this fight for you takes on all new significance now. You can have, as Tom said, your Andy Ruiz moment. What a moment that was. What a reaction it's been from the world of sport, entertainment and media. Many of you in the room would have seen Mr. Ruiz on Jimmy Kimmel last night. I don't think that's something he would have expected to be doing last Friday afternoon. But what a tremendous moment in sport that's transcended the sport of boxing. And it speaks to exactly what we're trying to do. We recognise the power that boxing has to transcend beyond its four walls and really encapsulate and capture the spirit of sports fans and our population. So Saturday was fantastic for us, and we're looking forward to an equally fantastic Saturday night with Triple G Rolls back here at the Garden. I want to thank many of our friends on stage, Lou, the Steve Rolls team as a whole, Tom, obviously John, Melissa, Thorsten, the whole Triple G team, Mr. Golovkin himself and his training team. And we look forward to seeing as many of you back at the Garden as possible. If you can't make it, tune into DAZN for what's sure to be a spectacular night. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Joe. Without the financial support of DAZN, again, these fights wouldn't happen. That's what it takes to make these type of fights in these big arenas. And we're really looking forward to not only the first fight on DAZN, but a long-term partnership with DAZN and Triple G Promotions. Now we want to get into the principles. This is why everyone is here, to see the fighters fight, see if there could be a big upset like it was last week, or to see if everything goes as what the bookmakers say. I think Anthony Joshua was something like a 22-1 favorite, something like that. And Andrew Ruiz had a few words to say about that, along with his fists. So with that, I want to get into announcing some of the fighters on the undercard. We're excited to bring up a fighter, actually with a long-time friend of mine, Les Bonanno from New Orleans.
Les, stand up, Les. Get up, come on.
Where are you, Les? There you are. Les Bonanno. Let's have a hand. Better known as the Chief. Right, Les? Yeah. So this was interesting. We went through 4 different opponents, starting with Rocky Fielding, who had just fought here, headlined last December at Madison Square Garden. And through 4 different opponents, we wound up with Marcus McDaniel. Actually, before we get to Marcus, I want to bring up the fight before Marcus, who's a local fighter from Brooklyn, New York. This guy's a very special and talented fighter. Hometown kid. He's 8-0 right now as a professional. He's had a storied amateur career. And he wants to show with this fight here that he really belongs in the professional ranks. He's fighting a very tough, undefeated, I'm just calling him the Bakhtar Bullet. He's with Salida Promotions. He's actually doing his medicals right now, so he's not able to be here. But he's 14-0 with 12 knockouts, also from Brooklyn, New York. So when I talked to Brian Ceballo and his management team, Dave McWater and Tim Van Nieuwhouse, I told them, if you want to be on the show, even though we've worked with Brian for a number of fights, if you want to be on the show, you have to be in a tough fight. And they actually approved this fight against Uberov. So with that, I want to bring up someone who sold a lot of tickets, who's undefeated 8-0, and wants to make his splash here at Madison Square Garden. I want to bring up Brian Ceballo.
Thank you, Tom. This here is an opportunity of a lifetime. I think this fight is really gonna showcase our skills. Colin Morgan and myself, we've been working extremely hard at the gym, just making sure that we perfect everything that has happened in previous fights, just to make sure that nothing wrong happens in this fight. And before anything, I want to thank Split Team Management, Tim Van Nieuwhouse, David McWater, Tom Loeffler, 360 Promotions, Triple G Promotions. I'm so grateful, man. Triple G, thank you for having me here on your show. I will not disappoint, and look forward for, as they like to call it, a scrap, because 14-0 against 8-0 against someone who has 12 knockouts is going to be a tremendous fight, and you guys can't miss it. Only on Dazn and here at MSG. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
So the DAZN telecast will start at 7 o'clock. Brian's fight will be at 9 o'clock. So you'll see a tremendous, whoever's watching the stream will see some great matchups against undefeated fighters. Brian's in tough, but he wants to show his talents. And he wants to be on future Triple G shows with Triple G Promotions. So in order to do that, he's got to shine on Saturday night and really prove his mettle, prove his worth, and prove that he belongs. So now, Marcus, we can get to you after we introduced Les. We can get to Marcus, where Marcus is also undefeated. There was no hesitation, as I mentioned. There were 4, I don't have to go through all the names, but there were 4 people that actually looked like they were going to take the fight. One got injured, one had agreed, and then had decided not to take it. But there was no hesitation from either Les or Marcus McDaniel. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's undefeated with 15-0 record. I want to bring up Marcus McDaniel.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank God for this opportunity. Nine months ago today, I was on my way home. A car pulled up on side me, shot at me 15 times. I was hit twice in the back, grazed in the head. Broke 6 ribs, punctured my lung, broke my clavicle bone. The doctor told me I'd never be able to fight again. 5 months later, we fought Brian Vera to a draw. Now I'm fighting in Madison Square Garden on a Triple G undercard, one of the biggest meccas in the world. Like I said, I thank God for this opportunity. for having me, coming from New Orleans. A small kid dreaming about something like this, just to be fighting in New York and Madison Square Garden on an undercard like this is life-changing. Like I said, I'm gonna come Saturday. We train hard. My coach, Chase, Coach Bobby, Ronald, Les. We did our thing in the gym, so we just waiting for Saturday to do our work. All right. Thank y'all. I'm sorry. Thank y'all. And thank you for having me. And thank you, Ali. Appreciate that.
On paper, this is one of the most evenly matched fights. Marcus is 15-0, sorry. I didn't want to take that last one away. 15-0. And Ali Akhmedov is 14-0. It's for the WBC international title. Again, Ali knew if he's with Triple G Promotions, but he knew that if he's going to be the co-feature on this fight, he'd have to be in a tough fight. On paper, it's a 50-50 fight, but in the ring, we'll see how the results turn out. So with that, I want to bring up, he's also trained by Jonathan Banks, by Max Golovkin. I want to bring up a fighter who's with Triple G Promotions, someone who I feel is going to become a future world champion. He's 14-0. He's also from Kazakhstan, had a great amateur career. He's going to be one of those standout fighters. But again, it's one thing to have a glossy record, an undefeated record, but you have to perform in the ring, especially you have to perform on the big stage, under the bright lights like Madison Square Garden. Triple G, his ascent was so quick because every time he got on a bigger stage, he had a better performance. And Ali Akhmedov has trained with Triple G. He sees how hard Triple G works outside the ring, getting ready for these type of fights, and he knows he's got to do a similar performance if he wants to continue to grow his brand. So with that, I want to bring up Ali Akhmedov, and Sergey will be translating for Ali.
В первую очередь я хотел бы сказать, что я очень рад находиться здесь. Я давно хотел этого, я давно мечтал биться в Мэдисон Сквер Гардене.
First of all, I want to say I'm very glad to be here. It was my dream to fight here at the Madison Square Garden.
Мы сделали серьезную работу, хорошую подготовку. Я очень благодарен своей команде, своему промоутеру за представленную возможность. И я готов показать себя. И я думаю, что это будет замечательный вечер в эту субботу.
We work very hard. I'm very grateful to my promoter, to all my team. We're ready to fight, and I think it will be a great evening.
Спасибо всем.
Thank you to everyone.
Once again, Marcus and Ali, they'll be fighting for the vacant WBC international title at 168 pounds. So we're looking forward to that being a great matchup. Now we get to the main event. This is really what everyone's been waiting for, the return of Triple G. When we were going through who would be the right fit for this fight at the return of Triple G to Madison Square Garden. Went through a lot of names. Lou had called me up. He proposed Steve Rolls. He actually had proposed Steve a few times over the past. Said that, never was able to get a big fight for Steve. I discussed it with the team, naturally discussed it with Gennady and Jonathan. Dazn was supportive of it because they like the fact that he's from Canada. They want to increase their subscribers all around the world, including the Canadian market. So it made sense. And as soon as we gave the green light to Lou, there was no hesitation On Lou's side, on Steve Rolls' side, he wants this opportunity. He wants to show that he belongs with a world-class fighter like Triple G. He wants to show that he has the same heart that Andy Ruiz showed last Saturday night. So with that, I want to bring up a longtime friend of mine to introduce the whole team of Steve Rolls. I want to bring up Lou DiBella of DiBella Entertainment.
Thank you, Tommy. Actually, this is a terrific undercard. I mean, there's not, again, a lot of times in boxing, you recognize names, and here you may not recognize some of the names, but there's a tremendous amount of talent on this card. I'm looking forward to seeing Ali fight. I know Marcus McDaniel for a long time. My friend Les Bonanno called me about him. About a year ago, Les called me and said, you got to help me get this kid a big fight. You know, we'll work together. And the next thing I had heard was Marcus was a victim of a drive-by and was fighting for his life. Here he is at Madison Square Garden less than a year later. That's amazing, you know. So, you know, Brian Ceballos, I chased him like everybody else did when he turned pro. Tommy got the deal, I didn't, but he's fought on my cards. He's a terrific talent, one of the best young fighters we have in New York. My fighter, Charles Conwell, there were 3 guys that came out of the Olympics that were American that really are outstanding prospects. Teofimo Lopez, everybody knows what he's doing right now. Shakur Stevenson, the 3rd guy of that top echelon of talent, and Conwell is every bit of that top echelon of talent. Conwell's fighting on this card against Courtney Pennington, who's on a big win streak. He's promoted by was promoted by Joe DeGuardi in Star Boxing at a lot of his fights in the New York area, and I think that's going to be a terrific opportunity for people to see U.S. Olympian Conwell, who is undefeated, fighting for a USBA title. So the undercard's really good. We're thrilled to be in this building. It is one of the most historic places. It's a cathedral of boxing, Madison Square Garden. And DAZN USA, if you're not subscribed as a boxing fan at this point to DAZN, you're just making a really stupid decision. And when you look at the last month alone, where you've gotten the opportunity to see Canelo against Danny Jacobs, you saw one of the greatest upsets in the history of boxing last week. Anthony Joshua's, you know, takeover of New York didn't exactly work out the way he wanted it to, but it created a fight that's historic, memorable, and going to be something that people are never going to forget in the history of boxing. And then right back a week later at the Garden with Triple G. And you can get a year at DAZN for $99. A pay-per-view is what, 70? I mean, I don't know what they tell you about HD versus not HD, but it's 70, 80, whatever it is. And if you can, I mean, at this point, if you're a boxing fan and you don't have DAZN, you're just making a bad decision. And by the way, it ain't that complicated to pull down the app and give them your credit card number. So, I mean, Joe, they don't need my help marketing, but I just don't understand at this point how a hardcore boxing fan doesn't have the DAZN app. Triple G, I love this guy. I'm a fan. He knows it. If you follow my social media over the years, you know what I think of Triple G. I think he's one of the greatest middleweights I've ever seen, one of the greatest of all time, certainly the best of the last 20 years of his generation. He belongs in the discussions with the Hopkins and the other greats. We know on Saturday night that Steve Rolls has a huge mountain to climb. But I'm grateful to Gennady and his promotional company for giving Steve this opportunity. But I also think that Gennady and his promotional company and DAZN, I think they made a decision that's also good for boxing and good for fans. That, yes, Steve may not be a recognizable name, but he's a real pro. And he's in his mid-30s. He's never had this kind of opportunity, but every challenge that's ever been put in front of him, he's met. He was a terrific amateur. He caught the eye of Manny Stewart, who wanted to work with him and sign him, and then Manny got sick. He's undefeated as a professional. While we don't know him here in Ontario, Canada, believe me, they know him. And Billy Joe Saunders, who's been in the ring with him as a sparring partner, Adonis Stevenson, David Lemieux, every one of those guys, if you contact them, will tell you what kind of fighter Steve Rolls is. And I think it's just fan-friendly and good for the game to bring in a new guy that, while untested, has never proved himself to be anything but a winner. And we're walking in on Saturday night, and the most important thing, it's not the result, it's what we get in the ring. What you're going to get in the ring is going to be a terrific fight. And people are going to see, win, lose, or draw, they're going to see what kind of fighter Steve Rolls is. And for the people that have been around the promotion, they've already gotten to see what kind of man Steve Rolls is. And he's as good a guy as you can find in this sport. And as hardworking a guy as you could find in this sport. And a guy that, despite what some may say, absolutely earned this opportunity. I want to thank his manager, Todd Christie. I want to thank Tommy Howitt. I'll tell you that these guys have been begging for a fight, begging, and we offered ourselves to every contender out there for years, and we couldn't get the opportunity. And when this presented itself, I called them, and what they basically said to me is, Lou, we're not going to negotiate anything. Go out there and get us this chance. This is a golden opportunity. We're going to take the best you can offer us. So just go out and make the fight. And there was no complications. There was no aggravation. There was no give and take. I went to Tom. He offered a deal. I tried to get the best I could. I took it back to them. The deal was done. Like that. And on Saturday night, I know that the decision to give Steve Rolls this opportunity is going to be justified by what happens in that ring. And I'm not crazy enough to predict against a Hall of Famer and an all-time great. But I am confident enough to say a real fighter is going to be standing across the ring from Gennady Golovkin on Saturday night in Madison Square Garden on Dazn USA. He's going to give 110% of what he has, and that's going to be good enough to prove to the world that he deserved to be there. And it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Rolls.
Thanks, Lou. Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I would like to thank God. I'd like to thank Dazn, Triple G Promotions, DiBella Entertainment, and everyone else involved in this mega event. It's been a long road coming. It's been a long time coming. Camps went very well, and I'm more than ready to take on this huge task and opportunity presented in front of me. As I said many times, this isn't a tune-up fight, and on June 8th, I look forward to solidifying myself as one of the best in the division. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and I'll see everybody Saturday night. Thanks.
Can't say enough about Steve. They've been the whole team, including Lou, has been very professional all the fight week. And you know, a lot of fighters say, I just want to focus on the fight. I just want to concentrate on the training. I don't want to help promote the fight. But they've been very accessible. We did photo shoots in Times Square. We had the media training yesterday here at the Garden. It's really been a pleasure to work with Steve and his entire team. With that, there's been a lot of changes on the Triple G side. I think the highest profile change is his trainer. Jonathan Banks is someone who I've known for a very long time. In fact, I used to help him get fights in the ring when he was an active fighter. Had some great wins, some great knockouts together. When the question came up, who's the right person to take over? Look, Jonathan filled impossible shoes to fill. When Emmanuel Stewart got sick and couldn't train Vladimir Klitschko anymore, Jonathan filled him very professionally, very successfully, continuing that historic heavyweight championship streak that Vladimir went on. A lot of people say these are impossible shoes to fill, at least very difficult shoes to fill. As dominant as Triple G has been, the 23 knockout streak in a row, 20 middleweight championship title defenses, someone who we feel is still undefeated in his 2 fights with Canelo Alvarez. And so how is Jonathan going to improve upon that success? Well, I've seen him in training camp. I've seen the sparring. Jonathan trains, like I said before, both Ali and Triple G. And there's definitely a twinkle in Gennady's eyes, just learning some new things. You see how fast he is on his feet. And this is really what the fans want to see. How is Triple G going to look being out of the ring. I think this is the longest since I've been working with him, the longest break that he's had. How is he going to look with this long of a break? New trainer. And that's what we're looking for Saturday night, June 8th. So with that, I want to bring up Jonathan to say a few words about the training and what he looks forward to on Saturday.
Thank you, Tom. As always, a pleasure to be in the Big Apple, in the Madison Square Garden, the Mecca of boxing. I've enjoyed plenty of press conferences here, plenty of fights here. I think it's always a beautiful place to be. But on to the fight with Ali. As one fighter and Triple G is another fighter, both guys are in shape. Both guys are ready to go. I think as far as the matchup goes with the main event with Triple G and Steve Rose, I think it'll be a very interesting matchup because of Steve Rose is what I told Triple G. He's fighting for his chance to a new life, and that's never should be overlooked. And it's the same thing I said 2 weeks ago about Andy Ruiz when they asked me about. When I was asked about Andy Ruiz after Joshua, I said, I just hope Joshua is focused and ready to go because Andy Ruiz is fighting for his life. When you got a guy with nothing to lose and the world to gain, he's just become the most dangerous opponent you will ever face. And that's the same level Steve Rose is on. He literally have nothing to lose. And he have the Mecca of boxing, we'll just go be watching him in Madison Square Garden. He got the world of game. So it's nothing about Rose that's being overlooked. It's nothing about him that's being underestimated. And Triple G and I do plan on being successful on Saturday night. The fact that we're not overlooking them, that's not going to change our plan to be successful on Saturday night. And that's enough to be said. We look forward to Saturday night, and I hope that the crowd is satisfied with the victory.
Thanks, JB. Now I want to bring up someone who really needs no introduction, someone who I've had the pleasure and the honor of working with really since 2011. 8 years now. Someone who I was begging television networks at that time when we first started working with him here in the United States. Here's an undefeated champion from Kazakhstan. He doesn't want a lot of money. He just wants the exposure. He doesn't care who he fights. He'll fight everybody. And after about 8 months, we were able to get him on his U.S. TV debut in September 2012. And ever since then, he's been on a tremendous streak, going from virtually unknown here in America to becoming one of the most marketable athletes, not only here in America, but worldwide, with all of his global sponsors that he has supporting him, international fans everywhere. When he goes to Mexico, when he goes to the UK, naturally when he goes home to Kazakhstan, anywhere he goes, he's just a boxing fan will recognize him and want a picture and an autograph. So with that, I want to bring up the People's Champion, Gennady Triple G Golovkin.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everybody, everyone. Yeah, Tom, you touched my heart. Hey, guys, seriously, I'm very happy to be here again. Just I feel like I'm my second home. Thank you, Madison Square Garden. Just this family who support me all time is awesome. Just not just for me, just for sport. Give me a big chance for show people, for boxing fan, like my experience. Yeah, you're right. I had long break. Probably I feel right now I'm still smart. I come back more strong. I want to say just thanks all my partners. Thanks Dazn. It's biggest deal for me, biggest deal probably for boxing right now. For my sponsor, for my people, for my team. Right now, I feel my power. I feel my smart people who stay with me. You know, thank you guys. Of course, I respect my opponent. You know, Steve Rolls, he's undefeated, guys. You know, just this is serious business. You know, it's very dangerous sport. Probably, I believe he's ready for Saturday night because this is exactly like real life. You know, real fight. It's coming again, like last show, and right now we have new show. Of course, I agree 100% with Louis. Louis, he speaks a lot, you know, just. I agree, it's 100% it's true. And I speak a lot like last 2 weeks, you know, just so many questions. Oh, come on, G. Tell me this, tell me that. Oh, come on, guys. Please, I don't want to talk a lot. Just please, welcome to Madison Square Garden this Saturday night, you know, just June 8th. Please welcome. Don't miss my fight. I promise I bring amazing show, amazing atmosphere, guys. If you're a real boxing fan, please don't miss my fight. Thank you very much for everything.
So with that, we're gonna go. We're gonna do the face-offs here. We'll have all the first. We'll have the main event. Then we'll have all the boxers up here, and then we'll break down into one interviews. That the video people can get some interviews with any of the fighters that are here today. We want to thank everyone. Again, the tickets are available here at the MSG box office, right behind us. MSG.com, Ticketmaster. Dazn starts at 7 p.m. East Coast time. And we look forward to seeing everyone at the fights. Larry, if you want to, and then we'll pose the fighters now.
Well, there we see them, Jess. They're about the same height. Very excited fighters, ready for Saturday. And I think it's going to be an extraordinary fight.
Very excited. I mean, they're both ready to bring a big drama show, as you just heard. You know, Gennady Golovkin always comes in to put on a great showdown and to try and win in a sensational fashion. So I'm pretty excited. Not only that, but he mentioned it himself that, you know, I had a long layoff. and I feel excited to come back to give everyone a good show. If everyone's a real boxing fan, you want to see this fight, is what he said word for word. And I agree. I believe him because he always comes to give spectacular performance.
Big drama show, and Steve Rolls is up for the challenge, and this is perhaps the most dangerous fighter. 19-0, 10 knockouts, and absolutely nothing to lose and a lot to gain. How difficult is that?
Yeah, well, that's exactly why he's so dangerous, because this is the opportunity of a lifetime for him. He's going to try and give it his all. I mean, I've heard this not too long ago from a fighter that says, you know what, I'm willing to die inside that ring. I have to come out with a victory. That's coming from words from a fighter that has nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's an opportunity of a lifetime, and that's the reason why Rolls is such a dangerous fighter. Not only that, stylistically, he can cause problems for Triple G. But Triple G, let's not forget, he is a very talented, powerful and durable fighter that went 24 rounds with Canelo Alvarez, is looking for the third fight, and in order for that third fight to come into fruition, he needs to look sensational Saturday night. So I would suggest everyone tune into DAZN.
Just a quick question. It's at a catch weight of 164 pounds. Gennady has done most of his career at 160. Steve Rolls has fluctuated. Who has the advantage?
When it comes to weight, I would have to give that advantage to Rolls because he's used to fighting at a weight higher than 160 pounds. For Gennady, it's his first time, but something that we're going to experience is the punching power, how it will increase by a bit, because those four pounds do make a difference. But we'll find out how explosive and if the speed still maintains with Gennady Golovkin in this fight at 164 pounds.
Well, we're all ready to see this fight on Saturday, but let's not forget we still have the weigh-in that's going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, only on DAZN, so don't miss it.
3 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget, and we hope to see you there Friday.